Kiss 105.3 and 1340, where hip hop and R&B lives. This is DJDSewell, the Wolf of Dixon. It is time for a word with the Wolf, and we have a very, very special interview tonight. We got Mike Stud. What is good, Mike Stud?
My G, what's going on, man? I'm good. How are you?
Man, it is all gravy. It is an honor to be interviewing you, brother. Let's jump right into this thing. You ready, my man?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mike, this is how we do it. We start from the beginning, man. Mike, where are you from, and how did you first get into music?
Yeah, so my whole backstory / come up is very it's just pretty different. You know, I'm from Rhode Island, which is up near Boston, smallest state in the whole country. So it's not what you would call a musical hotbed. It's kind of there's obviously people doing their music thing there, but it wasn't really where music happened for me at all. I was like a pretty serious baseball player, man. I went and played baseball at Duke University in North Carolina, and was good, man. I was an All-American pitcher there, and was pretty focused my whole life on that goal of being a professional baseball player. You know, so basically, long story short, I had an amazing freshman year, and then sophomore year, I blew my pitching elbow out completely. So what had happened was I just ended up that you're automatically kind of out for almost 2 years for that particular surgery. I had Tommy John, so on my pitching elbow. So basically, like during that time is when I started to dabble with music a little bit. But I mean, if I'm being completely honest with you, like obviously we're further removed now. It's been like 6 years of doing this for me, but it was pretty much like just a hobby, kind of never really even, when I was starting, it wasn't really even a thing where I thought, would translate into like a real career. It was honestly something I was doing because I had downtime, and I always loved music, and I was always that dude that could like freestyle really well, at parties or on the baseball team. And it was just kind of one of those things that for whatever reason, the stars aligned for me, and I was able to catch people's attention, even though the music in the beginning was pretty amateur, so it's been a grind for me, man, but that's where it started.
For sure. I seen a big change in your music from their first song to how you are now. Yeah. But I still want to back it up for a second. So who's some of your musical influences, especially being from Rhode Island? I know you have a kind of a different perspective growing up there. So anybody maybe locally or anybody from that area you grew up listening to?
Yeah, I'll be completely real about this too, man. Like I kind of have a different answer than most hip hop artists probably would, man, because I was an athlete, so I never looked at music like, I never listened to artists and was like, yo, I want to make, this guy's inspiring me to make music like this, So to answer the question, like initially, like my favorite rapper growing up was Jay-Z, and then it became Lil Wayne, and I was just a huge Lil Wayne fan. So I would look at music as like, I loved music. I was always listening to music, but, I was listening almost like an athlete would. I always listened before games. Lil Wayne was like my pregame. I just always listened to Lil Wayne. So he really influenced the way I rapped. If you listen in the beginning, like I was in college, I was rapping about, I'm one of those artists that just write everything myself. So it's things that I have to actually be living, I can only really talk about my experiences. So in the beginning, it was very college party based because that's where I was in my life. That's really all I did, So. Yeah. But the style of it was very like, witty punchline based. Like I loved the punchline rap era where like, Wayne would always just say stuff that I was like, damn, it was just so witty and smart. So, I'm pretty educated in a sense. So I like really liked writing, and I liked trying to write things that like people found, I like trying to write lines that people never heard before, saying things kind of, in a really witty, smart way, So I would say Wayne is my biggest influence as to how I got started in rapping. But, nowadays, like, as you all know, like, melodic rap is more of a thing than ever. It's not really there's not really tons of guys, like, just giving you bars on bars. It's just not the style anymore. So I've evolved with the time, and I really feel like I'm kind of coming into my sound now, like, six years later. It's been a grind.
Yeah, that's dope. So what was your first time recording like your first time in the studio? How was that process?
Man, I'm talking about like a $200 mic, garage band in a dorm room closet with like towels hung up on the wall, so I had some soundproofing. That was my first, like that's just really what it was for me, man. Like I didn't have no money or any connections at all to the music industry, or it wasn't like I said, I wasn't even really thinking like that. So I wasn't like, yo, I need this big studio. Like I was just kind of messing around, and it really turned into, these days I wake up, I still can't really believe that this is what I do. I'm sure tons of the people listening now have never heard of my stuff. We were talking off air, like I'm an independent artist completely. I've never done a record deal. So, when I do radio interviews, it's really, people like you who just kind of come across my stuff and are choosing to support it, even though, it's not coming from a record label. So, again, it's been a different path than a lot of artists have taken, but it's been really fun for me, man.
Man, that's dope. That's so dope. Started from the bottom, now you here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So how did you first know you had something? And besides just like the first hit, you know what I'm saying? Anybody can have, a first college hit. But how did you know, hey, man, like I'm going to stick with this. This can work. Yeah.
It was a little bit of a process, but I'd say, I just put this first song and video out. It was called College Humor. And, I'm talking about no Twitter, 0 fans. I didn't even have a rap name. You know what I mean? I just kind of, I had a nickname that my baseball teammates would call me. It was Mike Stud. It was kind of a long story, but really, that was kind of who I was making the music for, was my teammates, I didn't really foresee that, people on on a larger scale will be even ever listening to my music, So, to answer the question, really, it was it was a phase, probably like a 3-4 month phase where, I had put out 4 or 5 music videos, and I was actually starting to create some real traction, on a small scale. But it was, I went from literally not having a Twitter or any type of presence to where I was getting 100,000 views on these videos. And I really, the time that it clicked for me was I was still playing college baseball, and I was injured, and I was trying to make a recovery while I was making the music. And we were going to play these teams, and I was still injured. We'd go travel to another school, and there'd be Mike Stud music fans in the crowd from the other schools. I'd just be a guy on the bench. I was basically still rehabbing, and I was starting to see that I already had some fans at other schools. So it was one of those things where I was like, whoa, maybe this could actually be something. So I just kind of never really. I just put my head down and tried to hustle my way through, and that's really what I did. I wasn't a really gifted musical person. I never sang in the chorus. I never played instruments growing up. I was pretty much a full-blown student athlete, So It was one of those things where I just kind of had to, like I said, lock myself in a room and try to put in my 10,000 hours, and I think I think I'm just getting there now,
For sure. One thing that you're big on is touring, and I checked out your blog, the Tour is Boring blog. That's dope. But like I said, I want to start at the beginning. Mike, how did you first start touring? How does that happen?
Yeah, that's I pride myself on what we built on the touring side, because again, I'm not a mainstream artist by any means. There's a lot of people have never even probably heard of my name at all, so. But the fans that we do have are very diehard. There's a kind of created this cult following, and it really did start in the college world, and then even bigger, more so in the athlete world, that. Because of my backstory, a lot of the young athletes, and now a lot of the athletes that are now young professional athletes, I have a lot of ties to a lot of young, really popping athletes. So the athlete world has been a huge part of me kind of building this kind of little niche following that I've built, But as far as touring goes, man, we just hustled. I started getting booking inquiries, and we realized hey, man, I don't care if there's 50 people at the show. Let's go put on them. Let's just go create an incredible time for these kids, and I think we kind of approached it almost like a campaign. There wasn't a city. There wasn't a state in the country that I didn't go to. I was playing shows in Montana, North Dakota, anywhere in the country that would have me, and I really didn't care who was coming and who was going to be there. I just knew that we could create a really cool atmosphere and kind of create a memory for the kids that they were like, yo, I really like it. It's kind of how it's, in my opinion, it's how you create real fans, you know? So man, first 3 years, I was going and playing a show anywhere they would let me play, you know, and we built it really from the ground up, you know, but you know, now I'd say touring is my strongest aspect for me. You know, it's like really it's the biggest part of, like, if people come across Mike Stead and they take a look at my touring, it's actually it's very legitimate, you know, as far as like the numbers we're doing across the country. So I'm very proud of the touring, man.
Oh yeah, that's how I know you. I've seen you from the tour.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, you've been around doing your thing. I just got a couple of more questions for you, Mike. How was the TV show experience? How was that going? Or how was that for you?
Honestly, it was a huge accomplishment for us because, you know, again, I'm not a mainstream artist, so to get that opportunity was huge. And to be completely real, like I opted out of the second season. I didn't love the experience of doing it with TV.
That's what I was more asking, because I couldn't find if it was renewed or not. Yeah.
I'm a pretty low key dude. Like I'm not really in music for, like, as much as obviously if you're a musician, like getting the fame side of it is part of it, and it's obviously a goal to get as big as you can, but it's not necessarily like what I'm doing it for, like what gets me excited, you know. And as far as the TV show, it was a little too much, like, in my business all the time. We for 4 months, we woke up, you roll out of bed, and you put a mic on, and there's just cameras around the entire day, everything you're doing. It's just not. I kind of like realized after we shot it, like I loved the final product for the most part. Like I scratched and clawed with the network to make it. We battled with the network to just make it as real and authentic, and, you know, a lot of the reality TV nonsense, like, I just wouldn't allow it, you know. But it was one of those things where when we had the second option, we opted out of it because honestly, I would do another show, but I would much prefer to do it to a platform like Netflix or Hulu, something like that, where we'd be able to shoot it on our own schedule. We could shoot it actually in-house. Yeah. And it wouldn't have to be such a. When you do it with network TV, it was very, very stressful, man. It was just a lot of nonsense. It wasn't really like a negative thing. I just kind of realized at the end of it that, like, it really wasn't necessarily like my favorite thing, you know. So as well, like, the TV show was amazing for me, and I was able to, like, really build upon, like, my fan base already. I just think we are in talks with another. We're in talks. We're working on a few different things. But my goal is to bring the Touring's Boring show that you mentioned that we made online.
Yeah.
If we're going to do it again, it's going to be more like that. Okay. You know, there's a little bit more of like a sarcastic comedy undertone to Touring's Boring. That the TV show was very serious, and I just think as much as I wanted to, you know, tell my story, I feel like if we're going to do it, it'd be more in that, like, kind of comedic lane that Touring's Boring is in.
I got you. So,
yes, sir.
What projects can we look forward to? One thing I noticed about it, you spaced your projects out, and you know, you're talking about how music has changed these days, and you see how artists, they just dump songs out continuously, and I kind of like how you kind of leave fans, you know, kind of wanting or kind of missing you a little bit. So, what can we look forward to?
Honestly, that was like how I started. I would put songs out like once a week, you know, and I was like really hustling. Yeah. And I just felt like I got to a place in my career where I got a new house and I built a studio in it, and I really wanted to just, like, for the first time in my career, like, take a step back and really build like, really try to build my sound and, like, and create a project, create a bunch of music. Like, I have 2 projects almost done now. I have a full-length album and a collab project with a young artist that I'm working with named Vori, who I think is an extremely talented kid that you're going to hear a lot about. And I just have a ton of music, man. I probably got about 60 or 70 songs in the arsenal now, and I've never really had that in my whole career. So, you know, I did take a break, and I was really, really touring a lot. We shot the music. We shot the whole season for TV. So it's been a little bit of a break, but I never took a break from working. You know, I've been working the whole time, so I'm really excited about this year. I don't think I've ever felt this excited about, you know, a year in my whole music career so far. I really feel like I'm ready to do some interesting things this year with what we got.
That's what I want to hear, and that leads up to my last question right there. It's perfect right there, Mike Stud. I like to ask everybody, 1 year from today, where do you see yourself at?
Yeah, you know, like when people ask me these questions, I try to learn from like what my life has taught me. I go by this whole slogan. Everything, like our whole brand is revolved around this slogan. It's YNK, it's you never know. And like I just, you know, if you told me when I was 21 that I would be a musician and this would be my career and I'd be touring, I would have told you were crazy, you know. So I try to take I try to learn from that. You know, it's like almost like a quarter life crisis for me when I lost my baseball career, and I just try to learn from what that taught me, and it's just to appreciate the moments and appreciate. My album was called These Days, and that was kind of the whole notion behind it, was like just to enjoy these days and enjoy these moments, because you know the next day isn't a guarantee. So, you know, not to cop out on your answer, I really try to focus on. I really try to focus on like what's ahead of me and the things I can control. And I really do think this will be the most successful year of my career, you know, but I don't, at the same time, I actually try to make an effort to not look ahead and just to focus on the now, you know. So that's sorry to cop out on the answer, but that's really how I feel.
Mike Stud, perfect answer. Perfect answer.
Yeah.
Man, we sure appreciate you, Mike Stud. This interview means the world. If y'all did not know, I have actually met this man 2 years ago, cool as a fan. Mike, I actually didn't tell you the story earlier. We got real drunk that night at Lit. We had a lot of shots, man. Me, you, Fader, and JoJo. We had a good time that night at Lit, man. But it was good to meet you, bro.
Man, we have a blast every time we're in that area. So next time I'm back, we got to link up again.
Sure. Man, for sure. Everybody, make sure to go check out Mike Stud. He's out here independent, doing his thing. He's had a TV show. He got a vlog. Touring's Born. Make sure to check that out. Got to check out the live show as well. This is Mike Stud. Y'all make sure to stick around and don't go anywhere. This is KISS 105.3 and 1340.